Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Gittin Daf Samech Bet Amud Aleph 62a1. We're by a few lines down, 3 lines down, the last word on the line where it says He'id, testify. So He'id, Rabbi Yosef ben Shulam, Rabbi Yosef ben Shulam, Mishum Rabbi Yochanan Achiv, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan is his brother. She'amar Mishum Rabbi Lazar ben Chasma, that he said in the name of Rabbi Lazar ben Chasma, En Osin Chalat Ama'aretz B'Ta'ara, which means in Ama'aretz that he gives the Isa, he gives the flour, right? The dough, legabel, right? So what happens to knead it? So he says, and he tells him, Hafresh chalam isati and do a betara, right? We don't listen to him. I will say isat chulav, but he could do isat chulav of chulim betara, right? And he takes off the chala. Umanicha bekfisha or be'anchuta, and he puts it in these different types of utensils. Right? These are kelim which are not mekabel tuma. Okay? Or sheba ma'aretz, he told him when the ma'aretz comes to take it, notel et shtein, he takes both of them. Right? The chulin and the chala. The eno choshesh, and we're not going to suspect of the ma'aretz b'chala, and that he's going to maybe touch it and he's going to make it tameh. The eno sin trumat zeitav, and we don't do the trumat zeitav betara also, which means that to squeeze them when we're tara. Aval says zeitav chulin, but we do it only in the chulin betara. When we come and we take, right, the shiur of truma, you put in the kelav of the chaver, he takes both of them. We're not going to suspect that he's going to touch it with tum'ah, and he's going to make it tameh. The tama, what's reasoning? Rabbi Yochanan says, because of the parnasah of the megabel, meaning there were people that was their job. Their job was to come and to need. So now what? You're going to tell me now that every single person that comes, if he's an amaretz, it's a problem. So because of that, in order to give him the parnasah, we used to, be a little bit more lenient, right? So he says, right, utzricha, we need both cases. Diyashmin and gabal, because if we taught the entire concept of the gabal, right, mishum delo nafi shagre, because he doesn't get a lot of money, and therefore he's an anani that he needs parnasah. Aval badad. But the one that's doing the wine press, nafishagre, he has a lot of money. And you see from here that there's different salaries. There was a salary for somebody that used to do the gibul of the dough. And then there was a salary of somebody that's working in the mill. Usually the one working in the mill, it was a much harder job, right? It's a mill, it's a lot of labor. So because of that, right, they would get a higher salary, not just stam another person. Okay? So now he says, right? Emelov Yishman and Badad. Now you're going to tell me the Badad. He comes and he says this. If you're going to tell me now the Badad, Mishum de lo shchiach le, because it's not shaliach, it's not shachiach. Right? It's not shachiach. Okay. So if you're going to teach me about the badad, it's because it's not common, right? He only works a little bit in the year. Aval gabal de shchiach, maybe no. So each one had a pro and a cons. The badad, which is a wine press or the oil press, they wouldn't work every single day. They would only work in certain times in the year when they used to bring the olives or they used to bring the oil and all these things, or the grapes. And therefore, since they didn't have a job, but when they did have a job, they used to get paid a lot. The Gabal was the exact opposite. He worked every single day. You always need bread. But when he was working every single day, but they used to get paid, right? They used to get paid very little because it was a job that was. So therefore, each one has the pros and the cons. So Amar Mor says, so you're going to take the chala and place it in one of these utensils. He's going to take both of them, he's not going to suspect. Maybe he touched it. Says the Gemara, we're going to say Chazi. He says, no, but if he did touch it, right, it becomes tevel again. So since the Amaharetz is not suspected to make tevel, because tevel is mitabide shamayim, so he's not going to touch it. Remember, tevel is untithed produce. That means you didn't take off tumot throat. So says the Gemara, maybe he doesn't care. And so the Gemara, he says, 1 second, if the Amaretz wants to fix it, and that's why he's coming to me with Gabel, you're going to tell me that he doesn't care? Meaning, it doesn't make sense that if a person wants to come and he wants to do something good, that he wants to make it worse. If you're already on the way to make something good, it means that you want it to be good. So you're not going to make it worse. Okay? So Amar Mor says, Notel mena kedei truma manicha bekelio shel chaver. So you're going to take away the truma and you put in the kelim of the chaver. And then when the amaretz comes, he's going to take both of them. We're not going to suspect. Why don't we suspect? Maybe he touched it. I understand over there, there's a heket. Because since it's going to be in a certain type of utensil, whether it's going to be a kfisha or chuta, it makes sense. But over here, where's the heket? You just put it in the utensils of the chaver. So answers the Gemara, you place the bikli galalim or bikli avanim, bikli adama in utensils of galalim. Galalim, it says over here, is of excrement of animals. Avanim of stones, or kli adama or of dirt that you don't usually use it. So since you don't usually use it, so therefore that's why he comes and he says that's in itself is already like a heket. It's like a recognition that you don't want it to become tameh. So why have a chaver? Even in the amaretz, they're the same. So says the Gemara, comment, you're right. Even in the kelim of our maaretz, the chaver could use it. Okay, fine. 2 dots. You're going to help the nochrim during the shvit. Machzikinan, what? You're allowed to help them during shvit? It doesn't make sense. Imagine a goy has a field. On shmita, you're allowed to help the goy in the field? Why? Right? You never say twice shalom to a goy. You could only tell them shalom once, not twice. And number 2 also, you're never allowed to work with the goy in the field, in his field, during Shemitah.
You don't say shalom.
Right? No, you could say shalom, not twice. You don't say shalom twice, once. So he comes and he says, right? He says, because the heter was only because of the Rakeh Shalom. So therefore you only have the heter once. So it says, so we're going to tell him, right? Tatzlichu, have atzlacha. Ki ad Rav Yehuda amar lo achzuku. Right? Have atzlacha. Rav Sheshet also said sharta, have atzlacha. Which means that the entire concept that we were talking about until now was only that you just tell him to have atzlacha, but you're not mamash actually working with him. Okay? Rav Kahana amar lo shlama lamor. Shalom likvodo. Right? Which basically he said like give him a kavod. You say, shalom to Mr. So to Master. Shalom Master. Okay? V'shoalim bishloman, you're allowed to say hello. Hashach zuchu mezakina shalom bishloman. One day, if you could come and you could tell them b'atzlacha, obviously you could come and you could tell them shalom. So I'm ravima lo nitzicha ela yom chagam. We're talking about even on the day of their holiday. The Tanya was learned in a braita. Lo yikares elam leveto shavim yom chago v'yiten lo shalom. It's all b'shogeg lo b'safar rafa. Meaning, if right now, right, if you're going to come and you're going to say shalom to him on the day of his holiday, maybe you're going to start agreeing to his gods or doing, so therefore you're not allowed to go to, but if you see him in the street, you could tell him shalom in a, like a very humble way. So Ravuna and Rechasta were sitting down, and all of a sudden Gniva passed by, and one of them said to their friend, do we have to stand up for him? To Barul Yanu, because he's a Ben Torah. Amarlo, he told him, I'm going to get up from him, Bal Machloket. By the way, this is where I told you that this Gemara Mefureshet. Remember this Gemara with Geniva, right? And Daf Samech Bet. That basically what he was trying to say is that this guy is a person that he learns a lot of Torah. So we should stand up for him. The other rabbi went and he said, but he's a Bal Machloket. Why would we stand up for him? Right? What does that mean? That means you see from here that for a Bal Machloket, you don't have to stand up for him. Kilu, you don't have to give him kavod. Why? Because that means he's not practicing his Torah. If he's a person that he's always looking for machloket, always looking for fighting, that's where they get their juice. That's where they get they enjoy it. You understand? So therefore, you don't have to give them kavod. He knows tons of Torah. Doesn't matter. Don't give him kavod. Don't give him kavod. Yeah? So during that time, all of a sudden, Gniva came. Amaleh, he went and he said, Gniva to Ravuna Rochasta, Shlama alaychu malche, Shlama alaychu malche. Shalom alechem melachim, shalom alechem melachim. So he did twice, and he called them kings. Right? Why? Because man malche rabbanan. Amrule, they told him, and how do you know that the rabbis are called melachim? Amaru dichtiv, it says, bi melachim imlochu. Right? The ones that are learning Torah, they're considered kings. Amrule, they said, how do you know that you'd say twice to a king shalom? Amalu, he said, Amr v'yidamara, minan shekol v'shalom melech, shnamav ruch lavashat amasai rosh shalishim, lecha David v'micha ben Ishai, Shalom, shalom lecha. This also, where do you say? Also, Motzei Shabbat, v'yiten lecha. In the Avdalah, in the v'yiten lecha. No, v'yiten lecha. V'yiten lecha. Yeah? Shalom lecha. So you see from here that everything that they did to the Elmaleh was double. So come and eat. This is where I have to give food to my friend. Right? You first have to come and you have to give the food to the animals in the field, and then afterwards, right? Right? Yeah. What does that mean? You're going to first you give them to eat the animals, and then you eat. That's what he comes and he says. 62b Mishnah. Imagine a person, a husband, comes and he tells a shaliach, receive this get for his wife, or take this get to his wife. He could always retract. Meaning, as long as his shaliach did not get to the wife, he could retract from giving the get. But if the woman says to a shaliach, accept this get from me, he cannot retract. Meaning, the second that the shaliach of the woman got the get, kaddish. You remember we spoke about this to do with the post office. Who was the one that said it? It was you. Yeah, the second that you gave it to the postman, that's it. It's deliverable. He's not going to give it back to you. That's it. It's already given. You understand? And therefore, if he tells him, right? However, though, if the husband comes and he tells the shliach of the woman, I don't want you to receive it, but rather I want you to give it to her. So then he could retract. Why? Because now the shaliach of the wife is not accepting it. He became the shliach lo lacha. Rashbag Omer, Rabbi Gamliel says, Afa Omer totally giti. If a woman comes and she says, take my get, he cannot. Why? Because the second, it's like the same thing as saying, itkabeli giti, receive my get or take it, it's the same thing. Amale Ravacha Bered Ravav Ravashi, says Ravacha, the son of Ravav to Ravashi, Tama, the reasoning, because the woman did not make the man, right, the husband say shliach to receive it. But if she made him into a shliach to receive it, shliach lekabbalah, so he can retract. So we learn from here that when a person comes and he says holech, take this, it's like you're saying zacheh b'zeh, be zocheh in this. Okay, so says the Gemara, no, that's not true. Really, I'm going to tell you holech is love kizechidami. When I tell you to go take this, it does not mean that you're going to be zocheh for this. But here we need this, that you're receiving the get for the right for the woman. That's what we needed. The Sakadami was that would have thought to say, since he doesn't have the koach to make him into a shliach kabbalah, even if it would have gone into the get to his hand, right, you wouldn't get divorced. That means you have to receive it and you're taking it, which means that's why he's not coming to Tishu, because he sees the kavanah is kabel et get, receive the get, and take it to the wife. And therefore, it's a minui shlichut to give over the get. So now we learned in the Mishnah, so we already learned in the Mishnah, if she says, receive my get, and the shaliach receives the get, that's it. The husband can retract. My lover, we're not talking about Loshna Kabbalah. Doesn't matter what type of a shliach she made him, whether it's holacha or Kabbalah. The second that he received it, Kaddish. Says no, Kabbalah, only if he receives it. Meaning if he's supposed to be a shliach to receive it, he received it, that's it. It's like she received it. And then you cannot retract. Tashema, so we're going to try to bring another proof. Lefichach, therefore, Imamar lo abal, if the husband says, I don't want you to receive it, but rather give it to her, he could retract and he could do that. Ta'amad Amar only because he said Yevshi, I don't want it that way. Lo Amar Yevshi, but if he didn't say that, he cannot retract. So again, holech means that you're going to acquire it for him. So says Gemara, Dilma behelach. Really, be'emet, he says harre get lefanecha, not holech keze harre. It's like behold, it's in front of you, and therefore it could be that it depends upon what she wants. So pshita ish havishliach lo lecha. A man for sure could be a shliach to give over a get. But the husband could give a get to the wife, right? So he says, and a woman could be a shliach for Kabbalah. Why? Because a woman receives the get from her husband. Can a man be a shliach to receive the get? And can a woman be a shlicha to give over a get? Everyone understood? One more time. A man gives over a get, and he could be a shliach leholacha for sure, because if the husband gives over the get, a man could give over a get. That a woman could receive a get is for sure, because if the woman could receive her own get, so she could receive a get for somebody else. But what about if we flip it? Can a woman be a shlicha to give over a get? And can a man be a shaliach to receive a get? No. That's the question. 1 second. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. How many he can retract. If a woman says she can retract. Are we not talking about the same shaliach? Ushmamina, we learn from here. That it's going to be kosher whether it's to take it or receive it. It's always the same. You're always going to be kosher. And says the Gemara, no. The shnei shluchim. We're talking about two different shaliachs. So there's no proof. Fine. Tashema, let's try to bring another proof. Lefichach, if the husband says, I don't want you to receive it for her, but rather to give it over to her, if you want, he could always retract. Here it's one shaliach. It's still kosher for both. Because he just told him, I don't want you to receive it, I want you to give it over. So pshot mina, so you're right. From this Gemara, we could actually say that a man could be a shliach for Kabbalah. A man could be a shliach to receive the get. Not only that, because he could actually receive a get for his daughter. For his daughter. If he comes and he gets his daughter married when she's under bat mitzvah, and then the husband wants to divorce her, he can give her a get. She's a minor. He gives it to the father. And the father receives the get for the daughter. So you see from here that a man could be a shaliach for Kabbalah for his own daughter, and therefore he could be a shaliach for Kabbalah. But you still have the question, can a woman be a shliach le'olacha, to give over a get? What's halacha? Amar of Mari says, Tashma, even a woman that she's not believed to say that the husband died, she's believed to bring a get. Which means this. You remember we said that usually a woman could testify about herself that her husband died, and then she could get married. But a mother-in-law, a sister-in-law, cannot testify that her husband died. Why? Because maybe they want to give it into her. They want her to fall. So they're going to testify that the husband dies. There's no witnesses. It's only them. They're the only witness. If we believe them, she gets married, and all of a sudden the husband comes home and says, "Hey, Frechan, what are you doing? What? Your mother told me that you dropped dead." So now what happens? She has to get divorced from both. Children are mamzerim. She loses the ketubah. They stabbed it into her. They got her good. So therefore we don't believe them. However, we don't believe them to say that the husband died. But to bring a get, they're believed. Why? There's a piece of paper. The get is the proof. But you see from here, that means a woman could be a shliach l'olacha. So says the Gemara, v'hatam olacha, there she's a olacha. Another proof, Amar Vashi, we could learn from the Seifa. A woman could bring her own get, as long as she says, we're talking about shliach l'olacha. Meaning, she's bringing her own get to the Bedin, and she says to the Bedin, she gives it to the Bedin, the woman herself, her own get. And then the Bedin will come and give it back to her. That means, but she's a shliach l'olacha. She's a shliach to give it over. So you see, that means she's not accepting it, but she could have accepted it already in the diaspora. She was bringing it to Israel. So you see, so these are two different proofs that women could be shliach l'olacha as well. So one more time, a man could be a shliach for Kabbalah, because we brought the proof to do with the man accepting the get for his daughter, and a woman could be a shliach l'olacha, right? As we already proved, whether it's the woman, the different women that are not believed to say that he died, but they are believed to do with a get, and the same thing with Befarim Dam. Itmar was stated, we're almost on Aveli Giti. If a person comes and he says, "Bring my get," that means a woman comes and she says, "Bring me my get." Shliach says, so the shliach tells the husband, "Your wife just told me to receive the get." And he says, "Heilach, take it to her." Just like she said. Even if he gets to her hands, she's not divorced. Meaning here, not only is she not divorced when it got to the hands of the shliach, even after it got to her hand, she's not divorced. Shma mina, we learn from here, tibura didei kasamich, that when he says kema she'amra ishti, right, the Baal is somech on the divrei shaliach. Diya dibura didaka, because if he's going to be on her words, he says the second that it got to her hand, she's going to be divorced at least. So Amar Rashi says, Hach, can you compare both cases? What's going on? I understand. If it was the opposite that was said, and then he says, Hey lach, just take it the way that she said it. So it says Rav, once it gets to her hand, to his hand, he's going to be divorced. Alma dibura didahu, he's being somech on her words. Inami liyada, or if you're going to say on her words, the dibura didaka samich, right? He says, right? Mishum de akre shliach shehudei legaber, because he uprooted his shlichut. That he said shliach lekabbalah avina, lo lechalo avina. I'm only becoming a shliach for the kabbalah and not for holacha. But how do you know the other way around? Amar Ravuna Berachia says Ravuna Berachia Tashema Omer itkabel gazel ishti oleg gazel ishti ratzal achzor yachzor. He's allowed to retract. Why? We're going to continue tomorrow with Zot Hashem.